So on the first, we got the new Sherlock episode, Sherlock the Abominable Bride. And let's be real, guys. Obviously, the Abominable Bride was released because they realized that if they won't release anything at the beginning of 2016, the Sherlock fandom will go mad. And I'm gonna say it, the Abominable Bride is my favorite Sherlock episode so far. Hi everyone, my name is Ayla, and in today's video I'm going to review the new Sherlock episode, The Abominable Bride. Now, this review will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the new episode yet, or if you're not caught up with Sherlock, or basically if you haven't seen Sherlock at all, I don't recommend you watch this video since you will be spoiled. But if you have seen the episode, then just continue on watching. In The Abominable Bride, we had Sherlock set in the 19th century. Yes, they did that. And in the 19th century, it's basically this entire mystery about this very odd woman that for some reason on her anniversary day decided to dress up as this really sort of cray-cray bride, go out on the balcony, starts screaming at everyone, and then she commits suicide, only to later on at that same day somehow rise up from the dead and kill her husband, because you know, who doesn't want to do that on the anniversary date? And then a couple of months later, after Sherlock is like, guys, she's dead, there's no ghosts, somehow she kind of rises again and then kills another guy, and Sherlock is told, well, more like ordered by Mycroft to go and solve this mystery. So, as I said, The Abominable Bride is definitely my favorite Sherlock episode so far, and let's break it down. Why do I love this episode so much? For 5 reasons. First of all, the 3 sort of realities that we got, the drug issue, how the fact that this episode was totally about feminism, the puns that were made about the original Sherlock works, those of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and of course, Moriarty, guys. So going into this episode, I was really sort of nervous about how they'll do the 19th century setting, since what makes Sherlock, BBC Sherlock so amazing is the fact that it is set in the modern day, but they showed us that they can do the 19th century to perfection. What I really loved about this episode is that we got 3 realities. On one hand, we got the whole modern day Sherlock and his story. If you remember, we left off season 3 with him getting exiled from England, and we also got the 19th century story, which is basically Sherlock who goes out and tries to figure out, how this so-called ghost is coming back and killing all these men. And between them we had the middle ground, which was Sherlock's mind palace, and I really loved that. I loved how the mind palace was sort of the middle ground, and whenever we went from one sort of reality to another, we always went through the mind palace. It sort of gave the episode this feeling of everything being kind of like mystical, which was great for the actual mystery of like, maybe she is a ghost, as well as throughout, the entire episode, you're not quite sure as the viewer what's real and what's not real. And that was of course amplified by the fact that we got duplicate endings, one for the modern day story and then one for the 19th century story. Of course, later on we understood the fact that everything was kind of bizarre and mystical in a sense was because Sherlock was suffering from the worst drug hallucination ever, but still it was super fun. So Sherlock as a drug addict. We have always known throughout the 3 seasons that Sherlock has a problem with drugs. It has been mentioned before but never really talked about or really out there like it was in this particular episode, which was something that I really appreciated. A lot of times we got to see, Sherlock and drugs or Sherlock and cigarettes, but it was always overlooked by the mystery of the particular episode, and here it really took center stage, which I think was extremely fitting, because guys, let's be real, what better time for a drug addict to take a cocktail of drugs than when he's being exiled from his home country? I also think that it was extremely fitting that his drug issue got center stage in this episode because it helped develop him as a character. At least I feel like Sherlock kind of got stuck in season 3, and this episode definitely did a lot when it came to developing him as a character. On one hand, we gotta finally get to see Sherlock as a human, really, because a lot of the time we see Sherlock as like this mad genius, something that's not quite human, really, and here we gotta see the brotherly affection. Up until now, Mycroft and Sherlock's relationship ended as Mycroft being the older brother who wants to order everybody around and knows that Sherlock is his responsibility, and Sherlock being the younger brother who's super jealous of his older brother and always feels overshadowed by him. Suddenly, we get to see the relationship in a different perspective. Suddenly, it's this brotherly affection and brotherly care, and I think that in a sense, Sherlock realizes that he's dependent and he needs Mycroft, and Mycroft realizes, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing because I really love him and not just because he's my responsibility, which was great to see. It definitely helped develop Sherlock as a human character, because I guess with the last season, most of his like relationships started and ended with Watson, and obviously Sherlock has more relationships than that, be it you know, family relationships or friendships or whatever. And on the other hand, finally, we got to see Sherlock as, you know, a morally grey character and not our hero, especially after the death of Moriarty. And throughout season 3, and, you know, with that last episode, Sherlock got this kind of hero type vibe to him. Like, he's our good guy and Moriarty is our bad guy, and obviously we're gonna cheer on Sherlock and we're gonna boo Moriarty, and Sherlock's gonna save the day. But finally we're gonna see, you know, Sherlock is not that different than Moriarty. He's just a well-behaved mad genius. Or how did he put it? I'm a highly dysfunctional sociopath with your number. And it was great really seeing him as not the hero, but the morally grey character, the character that things are just really messed up with him, which was basically what Sherlock was at the beginning, and he kind of lost that towards the end of season 3. So this particular episode was really big on feminism, and I want to talk about two things that I really appreciated that they did with this particular episode. The first had to be the way that our beloved, strong female characters were treated and behaved in this particular episode. Since 85% of the episode was set in 19th century London, our beloved, strong female characters were basically reduced, you know, to worthless girls that didn't have a right to meddle in the man world. And I really particularly liked how Watson's wife got that across, because in the modern day version of Sherlock, she's totally kick-ass, and you know, she kind of runs the show, especially when we cut to the modern day section and she's basically hacking into the government system. And then on the other hand, in the 19th century London, we see her as the sort of spy, or she's the one that basically follows Sherlock because she's reduced to nothing since she's sort of invisible. I really liked the message that was coming across from that. Like, look how much things changed in a span of 200 years. As well as Mycroft's remark that this is a battle that they have to lose. Mycroft is always seen as this genius that's even more smart in a sense than Sherlock, and even he realizes, like, this is something that has to happen, we need to let it happen, which was something that I really liked. And the fourth reason that I really loved this particular episode were all the puns that were being made about the original works by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. If you haven't read any of the original stuff, then you probably didn't get it, but like, for example, the fact that Mycroft was just gigantic, the fact that he has a problem with weight is nothing to laugh about, but the fact that in the 19th century version they made him gigantic and fat, if you have read the original works, then you'll get the pun that was being made, which was something that I really liked. Like, it's kind of like, oh, I get you guys, I get you, and you know, only people that are really hardcore Sherlock fans would get it, so that was nice. And of course, the fifth reason why this particular episode was amazing was, of course, Moriarty. Like, I missed Moriarty so much throughout season 3, and finally we got to see a lot of him throughout this episode. He was definitely the character that I enjoyed watching the most. I feel like Moriarty became such a fun character in a sense. Ever since he died, it became a figment of imagination that lives in Sherlock's mind palace. Like, in a sense, you know, the writers and the producers could have only pushed Moriarty in, you know, the modern day reality to do so much, but from the moment that he became this figure of imagination in the mind palace, they can make him do shit crazy things, which was just so fun to watch throughout this particular episode. And can we just say that Andrew Scott is an amazing actor, because any less of an actor than him would have made all of those scenes seem so unbelievable, but he just manages to play Moriarty to the fullest. And, you know, Moriarty is just the definition of an evil genius, but while he does do horrific stuff, you just end up enjoying it. It's kind of like you can see that Andrew Scott just enjoys acting out Moriarty. He's definitely the villain that I enjoy watching the most. Though what bums me out is that now after this particular episode, I think that Sherlock finally realized what Moriarty means to him in the Mind Palace and what he stood for in his reality. So we'll definitely get less of Moriarty, but hopefully we will get more evil geniuses, because if you didn't get it, this whole episode was him figuring it out that Moriarty was basically just a friend of mine, and there's an entire organization of evil geniuses behind him. Or at least that's what I got from the episode, and I really do hope that it's true. Those were all the reasons why I absolutely love this episode, and it became my favorite Sherlock episode so far. So obviously I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I could not give it any less. Just no. So what are your top 3 favorite Sherlock episodes? For me, it's definitely The Abominable Bride, and then the last episode of season 1, which I think was called The Game, and the first episode of season 2, the one that has Irene Adler in it, because she's just a fantastic character. That's my review of Sherlock the Abominable Bride. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please let me know down below in the comments what you thought about this amazing episode. I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!